Alright, finally got to Bali after an interesting flight, to say the least, um, which is all part of the wonderful travel experience. I nearly destroyed my printed documents, which isn't a great thing to do. It adds a bit of stress. Um, well, that was because of a kindly act by someone working at in security at Cairns International Terminal, who told me I could fill up my water bottle free of charge at Gate 2 in the International Lounge. So I decided to take him up on the offer, and of course I stupidly put it in my backpack and put it up over the in the storage locker in the plane, and of course it started to drip immediately. I should have just put it in the pouch behind the seat in front of me, but no, that would be the sensible thing to do. And as a seasoned traveller, that's a pretty bad stuff up, because I should know better. But anyway, that was yesterday. Now's today, and I had other minor hassles as well. I noticed that, well, had that interesting conversation with the elderly woman who's staying with relatives in Cairns, and she lives in Denpasar, probably maybe not far from where I'm staying here. Who knows? I can't recall what the name of the area was, but yeah, she has to come back to Australia every 6 months to do a visa run. And she doesn't like it, but she has to do it, obviously, because the cost of living up here is so much cheaper. And she's got a lot of friends here and just enjoys it. She did say to me something curious, that apparently she wanted to bring in some gifts for an orphanage, and when she declared them at customs, when she told them it was because they were gifts for orphanages or charity, they took great umbrage at this and said, well, we don't have poverty in this country, and just confiscated the goods. So basically said, if you're going to do something like that, do not tell them it's for a charity, because apparently charity doesn't exist in the country that has of plenty. It's obviously a saving face thing. They just don't want to admit that they may have some faults, which is not very productive in the long term, because every society has many faults, including my own, I might add. But anyway, that was an interesting little anecdote, and I chatted to a couple of people. The guy who's at the carousel, the baggage carousel in Denpasar, he was an interesting guy to talk to. He travels quite regularly. He didn't tell me what business he's in. He might be in some form of aid, but he went to Europe on business, and now he's going to Papua, of all places, on business. He's got a 6-month contract, and then he's going to get about a week off after that. But he can decide how long his holidays are. He took 3.5 weeks off the first time, but he was great. He told me that they're likely to swap the luggage belt that our luggage is coming off on, and they did. They actually did do it. I hadn't experienced that the other time I've been here, but I'll be aware that it can be the case. So that's a nice, delightful little idiosyncratic aspect of life up here. Also, I've got to say that the baggage belt sounded awfully sick. It was groaning, and it really was. They just don't worry about maintenance here, because it sounded like it needed a good oiling. But the other thing, of course, it's always a hassle. It's getting a taxi. And I was under the assumption, stupidly through TripAdvisor, that it would probably cost me 95,000 rupee, Indonesian rupee, to actually make the trip up here. As soon as I got out, of course, there's lots of spruikers. I just ignored all those, the taxi spruikers, and went for the first counter I saw, airport taxi counter. And it looked quite legit, and I was assuming they were going to give me that quote for that rate, for that amount, that fare, 95,000, and boom, 250,000. I said, oh, come on, this is obviously one of those scam operations, but it did look very legit. It was a permanent set-up counter. So then I went out through the exit and to the outside part of the airport, and I encountered another solid-looking airport taxi counter, and I got exactly the same fare, $2.50. That was what they were charging. It was also I tried to get my money changed inside the airport. That money changer had closed. It was about 9:30 at night. You know what? It seems strange that a money changer would shut up early when there's stacks of people coming through. There was one open outside, and they paid a slightly better rate anyway, so that wasn't an issue. But yeah, I had to bite the bullet and pay 250,000 Indonesian ringgit to get up here, so that was a bit rough. And the taxi driver had a bit of time trying to find me up here, and also was spruiking for more work to get in a return trip tomorrow. Said he'd give me a discount to 200 because he'd be using his own car. And I was going to get his details, but he just left before I had a chance to. Once he finally found the place, I don't know what happened there, but I was told by Elia, who's one of my hosts here, a nice guy. I had a nice long chat with him when I turned up here last night. He said that that's 200's about the lowest you're going to get these days, and that 250 is probably pretty standard. He's had people staying here that have been ripped off and have been charged 450 to 500,000 Indonesian rupee for the same trip. So there's always someone worse off than yourself. So, but it's just they need to clean up their act, because if you've got any unscrupulous operators giving carte blanche like that, it's not good for their tourist image. But anyway, that's just something that I'm being a bit of logic here. But I'll just give you a tour of the surrounds, which look very nice and serene, as advertised on Airbnb, and it looks as though they were pretty accurate. It's got a nice ambience. My room's quite pleasant. I don't know. Here's the big kitchen and chill out area. Lots of places to relax, and lots of facilities to cook if you want. There's actually a proper oven and range top there, and plenty of you've got cold water dispenser there and warm water as well, and obviously coffee making facilities, but I don't know how to run those particular type of high-tech coffee machines. Got a fridge there with a stack of little knickknacks on top of it, and but it's a very nice atmosphere, and that woodwork, that bench there that's just roughly hewn, that was actually I think that's Elia's other half who did that. So she must be, I don't know if she just planted or actually did the woodwork. I have the impression she might have done the woodwork, but it's got a nice Balinese feel to it. You can see the ceilings have got that sort of vaulted Balinese look. It's very nice. Has a really good atmosphere. Mind you, Elia said there is a downside here. He's contracted dengue fever. He's one of these poor people who actually attracts mosquitoes, which is a bit rough, but unfortunately that's the way it is. I think that might be our neighbour's place there. That's my little balcony area there for my place, which is quite nice. My only criticism today would be that the hot water in the shower ran out a bit fast, and it was probably a little fast moving for my liking. I think there's only one other guest here at the moment, but I'll just give you an overview of the grounds. Yeah, it's always hard to get showers right, but it's quite quiet here. There was quite a noisy lizard that sounded a bit like a bird. I couldn't identify what it was, but Elia told me it was a lizard, and it made an interesting sound. Hi. Yeah, it's a nice little place, and they seem like good people, and so it might have. It's great to be in a peaceful location like this after a long air flight, and to be honest, I didn't think much of the mix of passengers. There actually was the girl I eventually got the pen from, because that was really difficult for me to get a pen to fill out this silly form, which I might add, I don't think they took much notice of when I actually dropped it off with the lady collecting them at the airport. Very perfunctory, just grabbed it off me and you didn't even really look at it. I just gave it a very cursory scan. It's almost like something they have to do rather than actually taking seriously, and I can understand that because they are swamped there. What was I going to say about the pen? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I told you that my fellow passengers who were just I don't know. I've never struck someone quite like that before, but I was just explained to her that I didn't expect to have to fill out any forms, and I didn't bring a pen with me, and asked her whether she had a pen on her, and she said she did, and then I just sort of just made a sort of a joke about how silly I'd been for not getting my own, and obviously I would like to use that pen. That was obviously the inference of what I was saying, and she gave me this look like I was some sort of an alien or something, and just saying strange things that just didn't make sense to her. And I just decided not to stop speaking to her, because I thought, this woman just isn't registering. And later, of course, she did actually pull out the pen from her bag and fill out the form for herself and her friend, and then just totally ignored me and placed it back into her bag without offering it to me. I've never struck anyone like that before, and I think, geez, unless they've got some phobia about germs, but I think it's more likely that they just don't give a crap, which is really sad, that some people can be that miserable with other people, and I wasn't asking a great deal. And of course, when I asked the Jetstar flight service officer lady, she didn't have one on her, and she said she'd try to get one from another down the end of the cockpit, down the end of the fuselage where the other person's working. But of course, I knew on a busy flight like that, she's not going to remember a pissy little request like that. So I decided to take the initiative and tap the shoulder of a woman who was obviously sleeping right across from me on the other side of the aisle, so she didn't respond at all. So then I tapped the shoulder of a European backpacker chick who gave me the pen eventually, but made me sweat on it beforehand, and used it with her and her friend before handing it over to me. I really wasn't sure whether she was going to give me the pen, or there's some conspiracy on board this plane to deprive me of using a pen. It's just bizarre. But she was an interesting character. She was cautioned, I think, at least twice, maybe 3 times, by the staff for making too much noise. She was laughing really loudly. Whether she was drug affected or whatever, I don't know, but she wasn't any sort of a danger to anybody. She was just very loud. And the person that I had a chat to that was going to Papua to work, he mentioned he heard it too. He was up the front of the plane with me. So yes, she like I said, I've never seen that before, where someone's been they've had to speak to him several occasions. But maybe she's just used to it. Maybe it's just water off a duck's back. And she was with a group of friends. I'm assuming she was German, but who knows? It could be whatever. But she was certainly in a overall happy mood anyway. And she gave me the pen, so I can't complain. So that's things so far. Elliot told me a little bit about himself. He's actually, I think he said he was originally from Serbia, and so it's an interesting mix having someone of that background here in Bali. But they seem to have got a good feel for the local architecture and what have you. I don't know if they bought the place as is or they've actually added to it or built it or whatever. But the other thing, I think he's actually going to get someone to, another guest, I think, from Spain who might take us on a little bit of a tour of the area, which is a bit of a bonus. And I think he might be up for me coming back here next time. And he did also say that as far as the taxis are concerned, that I should register with Uber. I've got it on my mobile, but I'd probably prefer to actually register on my laptop because it's a bigger screen, so I haven't got the Wi-Fi password on that yet. And I'll do that and try to get an Uber lift back to the airport. He said it's hard to get, you can't get Uber from the airport because they've been banned, but you can get Uber back to the airport, and they're about 40% off the price that you'll pay with the taxi companies, so definitely worthwhile. And obviously the taxi companies don't like Uber one bit, but yeah, it's after paying more than double what I expected for the taxi, I'll be keen to save a little bit of money on the return trip. Anyway, it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'll see if I can work out how to make a cup of coffee here. That would be my next top priority, I think. But yeah, it's good to have found the right place, and yeah, had a reasonably good night's sleep in a reasonably comfortable bed. So yeah, all good so far. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.